Taurus, welcome to your reading entitled Your Person Right Now and What You Should Know. I am Dr. Tarot and you have landed on Take Charge Tarot. Thank you so much for stopping by. Feel free to hit subscribe, like the video, all that is very helpful. In fact, just subscribe. What do you have to lose, right? Okay, so this is a spread that is very intentionally looking at your person sort of front and center, and then you're kind of figured in there to, obviously you're a part of this equation. So I'm using the Rider-Waite Tarot, by the way, aka the Pamela Coleman Smith Tarot. Okay, interesting. What happened in the relationship? So we've got Magician as the first card. Fabulous. Next, we have you. Interesting. And your person. And of course, I'll go through these individually. You don't have to worry about that right now. And then this is what your other person is feeling, thinking, and doing. Again, currently, and that's whenever you see this video. What you could and or, not what you should, it's what you should do, but it's really, it's to encourage you if there's some action to be taken. Here's what your guides want you to know. This is a possibility. And the personal outcome of this reading. This is a very strange, okay, hold on. I'm doing this in a different space than I'm used to, so things have to move up a little bit. Should be over here. Thanks for your patience as I put the cards where they need to be. Okay. All right. So let us take a look here. So as soon as I put this down, this is what happened in the relationship. Like, what happened? And the assumption here is that either you're not with this person, or, and given this card, I'm kind of getting that feeling. You're not with this person, and or you've kind of really grown apart. I mean, if not geographically, definitely emotionally in the relationship. Now, the thing is, when I put this card down, it's brilliant looking to me. It's a Magician. I mean, it's the same Magician card that's always been in this deck. But it looks to me that either one of you or both of you really just wanted to do your own thing. Like you're both, now I know the stereotype is that Tauruses are stubborn. Whatever. I don't subscribe to these, given that you have so much else in your chart, right? So if you're a Taurus with 5 planets in Aquarius, you're going to be a very different Taurus than someone who has a whole lot of Earth in their chart, right? So, and by the way, this is for Taurus, Venus, Rising, and Moon, and also, if you feel so inclined, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And I'll let you be the one who decides that. Okay, so this is very clearly you. I get the feeling it was both of you. Maybe one of you sort of more strongly or more overtly. But if one of you was more strongly inclined for something to do your own thing, and by the way, it's not your own thing like I want to see other people. It's really more about I need space and time to do my work. And work here is defined as, it could be tinkering in your garage, painting models or something, like model airplanes or model, I don't know. I'm definitely getting a craftsman type vibe here, but that's totally not necessary, nor is that necessarily the strongest energy of this card for me here. And so the weird thing, and so the whole reason I brought up Taurus as stereotype is because Tauri, have this reputation for being stubborn. And I'm like, anyway, so I was just sort of saying, oh, if we're going to play into that stereotype, then we'll just say, okay, so this was a Taurus who was stubborn and set in their ways, or was like, no, I'm not giving up this thing I love, and too bad. I don't know that could be true. If that resonates with some of you, by all means, because why would I say it if it was totally irrelevant? However, I'm to be honest, I'm getting the overarching, overwhelming energy here is you each wanted independence to do your things. So that's time and space. It's not that you didn't love each other. It's not that you didn't enjoy being with each other. It's just that in this weird way, it's almost like I see the two of you with the same problem. Like you both want to do your own thing, and then when the other person is kind of doing their thing, there's this like little part of you, oh, excuse me, this little part of you that's like, well, why aren't they available? Wait a minute, I'm used to someone being there for me, and they're really not. And you know, you can't have it both ways, right? That's kind of what Spirit's telling me. It's like either you have someone who's independent, and you're both independent, and you're both celebrating each other's, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, your talents, your abilities that you guys, persons, I don't want to say guys, can be gals, can be guy-gal, can be gal-gal, obviously, can be person. I'm just getting, I'm going to simplify it. It's just that there's so much going on in this card, but let's move on. So basically, even though this is an incredibly positive card, what appears to have caused a wedge in this relationship and or have ended it is another thing that it keeps coming in the background here is one of you moved for a job. And, you know, it was kind of a dream job. It was definitely a job you were going to be. It's all the things, right? Paid more for, to a great city, great town. A, B, and C were incredible parts of the job. Just a good opportunity all around. So that's the other piece that may resonate with someone. But that's why you had to break up. So it wasn't like high drama. It was the opposite almost. It was like not enough togetherness, not enough. You couldn't really feed the fire, so to speak, because I think too, for one of you, what's coming in is like you'd had a previous relationship in which the person was very, very demanding of your time. Again, no judgment on them. They were just too demanding by your standards. And, you know, you were like, dude, please, let me do my thing. Let me take her in the garage. I'll just keep saying that because that's what keeps coming up. Just give me space. Give me time to do this thing. I'll be available for you. And they couldn't hang with that. That relationship, whatever it was, didn't last very long, is my guess in thinking about this. But so with this person, there was that sense of like, oh my gosh, you're like this. I'm like this. Wow, we're both like this. And you kind of both surprised yourselves at how that, it's kind of how a gift can be a curse sort of a thing. I mean, I don't like that kind of analogy because it's a little bit like it's good and evil, but it works for the situation. So the gift of you both being that way is that you're both understanding of one another. The downside of that, for whatever reason, not saying that relationships that have this trait need to be like that. I really need to move on. I don't know why Magician's calling me to talk about it so much. But it worked against you. That's all. In this situation, it worked against you. I mean, again, I could do this whole reading in one card. We'll look at the rest of the reading, and even looking at the cards, I do get the feeling, I'm not one to say, oh, they're coming back, because I'm just really careful, and I think ethics are really important when we're reading tarot for other people. But I do get the sense that there is the possibility that you guys could reunite, because there is this connection and this bond around being similar, right? You're very similar in this way. So let's move on so that we can Get to the rest of the reading. Sometimes that happens. I think other readers might be the same. You just get so wrapped up in a particular message that you're getting that you have no choice but to deliver it. So this is you. My guess is that you tried. I'm going to go with, and looking at these, even though, like I said, even though it may have been more one person than another, that sort of was like, hey, you're not showing up for the relationship. You both were kind of relieved in this particular area. But I'm guessing that you kind of fought a little bit for this. You were like, hey, man, hey, person, we need to have a date every week. We need to do this. We need to do that. This is a relationship much like a flower or a plant. If we don't water it, it will die. So that's kind of where you were. You were kind of a little bit more, again, just in this particular union, you were a little bit more couples minded. But I want to be clear in saying this has more to do with either your maturity level, which I'm not so inclined to say, but more your knowledge level. Like, I don't know, maybe you've gone to therapy and the other person hadn't, or you're in therapy and the other person hasn't been, or you read a book one time and, you learned some things. But like just by a little, just a very tiny, I think you're both kind of neck and neck and on the same level, whatever level that is, because I'm not here to ascribe levels. But that's you. And then now I am thinking that the person moved. Your other person moved, because we got the Two of Wands. And, they were kind of exhausted. There's another deck I have that portrays the Two of Wands with Alexander the Great. And I find that portrayal very interesting because most representations of Two of Wands are like this. So they're positive. Everything is right. The man's holding his globe and he's looking over the lay of the land. It's all his now. He's just either inherited it or he's just acquired it. So it's like anything's possible. What's great about thinking just kind of alternately or maybe expanding the various energies of Two of Wands is that Alexander the Great was a great conqueror. I mean, that's how we know him, right? I mean, they don't call you the Great if you don't achieve something. He was a good conqueror. He was a good colonizer. He was good at taking lands, things that we don't really value right now in our current world. We don't see that as something positive, but rather negative, generally speaking. And what the card showed was his fatigue, his exhaustion. So here, I think if I remember correctly, and I can look at the card again, but in the vista, sort of like around this area was like on fire. Because what happens when you go into a land? What happens if I go to conquer somewhere? I'm not doing it with, butterflies and rainbows. I'm doing it with bombs and weapons and killing people, right? To take over. And it's so weird that I'm thinking about this. I haven't thought about this card and that deck in so long, but it must be relevant. Spirit's given it to me. So what that card achieves that I think we miss in at least every other deck that I have personally come into contact with, which, I'd say I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen some decks in my day. What they miss is that this is fabulous. We've got a new beginning. We grabbed that wand. We said yes to fire. We said yes to new opportunities. Now we've got an opportunity has arisen, and here we are, and we're looking at all the potential of that opportunity. But I think that the aspect of Two of Wands that's coming up for me, this reading is getting intense. I don't know why it's taking me so long. Interesting. This Two of Wands is really asking us it's showing us, it's forcing us to ask, at what cost have we gotten that globe? Are we fatigued? I mean, you can't see his face. He looks okay. They look okay. We don't know their gender. But the point is that This isn't all, this isn't always hearts and rainbows, right? A lot of work went into this. What was sacrificed? Was it a relationship? You know? Okay, moving on. So these cards are what your person's feeling, what your person is thinking, and what your person is doing. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3 here. Your person's feeling, you know, a sense of efficacy. So I'm guessing that their job is not with their hands, more with their mind. And they're feeling efficacious, like they can do it. Like, I can do this job. I've got it. I'm new, I'm still learning, but I can do this. They are thinking about, guess who? That's right, you. It's hard for me not to notice the similarity of the yellow background. Because, and I think you guys might have cohabitated, lived together. If you didn't, this isn't for you. But if you lived together for a good while there, you were happy. The both of you were happy. The both of you, you know, I don't know. I'm not seeing children. So I'm thinking that either you were both just adults having a relationship, which for those of us who have children, that just sounds so glorious. But children are wonderful, not dissing children. Or your children were not around. Maybe your children are grown out of the house. I don't know. But it was a nice situation for a good while. And what he's doing is leaping out on faith. I mean, I keep saying he, interesting. I feel like it's a he I'm talking about, guys. But remember, a he, it's just a pronoun and it's just an energy. And it's really a limited energy too, because there aren't just two genders. We know this already, right? When we say masculine and feminine, we're talking about a number line, okay? So the number line, and the number line isn't even fair or good for this, but let's just deal with what we have at our disposal. You know, the masculine, we can argue, is, I don't know, we'll say that's -5, and the feminine is +5, and then there's a 0, and we'll call that non-binary or pure androgyny. Again, these are all problematic words. But I say all of this because there's no reason we can't say this is a woman. There's no reason we can't say this is a man. There's no reason we can't say this is an intersex individual or a non-binary individual. But what is important is that this person who may be masculine presenting, masculine identifying, that's what I'm picking up. I say all of that because when I'm starting out here, you know, in this channel, and I'm, of course, building a family within YouTube, and I want to make sure that inclusiveness is not just me being like, oh, I have great politics and I love people and everyone's welcome and this is diversity. Inclusion is important because it is the only way tarot can exist. See, if these energies are just represented by cards, but if these energies don't apply to every single human, or even if you want to get really, really technical, every living being, then it exists for no being. And I would like to tip my hat to my teacher I've developed it a little further, but essentially that teaching came to me through Lindsay Mack, and I'm so grateful to her. So that's why there's my little lecture about gender. You're probably like, I'm done with this. I don't blame you. But if you're still watching, awesome. Moving on. So your person, whom I called he, who doesn't have to be a he, your person is definitely it's new for them. I don't think they're uncomfortable with that. So what's interesting is this is somebody who isn't just, oh my God, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. They're kind of enjoying this. They're not stressed about this. They're excited about it. And I know this because of these two things. So like two things are happening with your person. One, they're enjoying their work. They're enjoying their job. They're enjoying the journey. They're kind of alone. I don't mean they're depressed or anything. We already know that the both of you are kind of like doing your own thing type people, right? So you both are just, excuse me, not both. You and he, he Thanks, Mercury retrograde. He's loving it. I mean, he's loving it insofar as a job, work. It makes him feel useful. He likes it. It's going well. He misses you. This is what he's thinking about. And he's thinking about you. So, moving on. That can land bittersweetly. That can land great. I don't know. However it lands, make sure to take care of yourself. And looking at what you should or could do. I'm feeling a little conflicted about this, but I have to deliver the message, so I'm going to. This is the part where you're a human with your own standards and morals and values. I don't even like those words, but so if you were my friend, whoever's watching this, cross watchers, I guess I'm talking about you in terms of like what you're feeling now. But if you're my friend and we're ride or die, I'd be like, you need to move on. Forget that guy, forget that woman, forget them. You need to regroup and do your thing and whatever. That's just not what Spirit's saying. So, you don't listen to me, you listen to Spirit, right? You don't listen to the reader, you listen to the message. And the message is, maybe go show go to them. I don't know why I'm getting that, because again, that's like, is it risky? Yeah. Do I know the outcome? No, I don't. Although I am looking at a personal outcome. It's saying to go make an offer of love. Now, what does that look like? What does that mean? I'm getting this strong, see, because you're kind of going toward each other in this. I am getting the strong feeling that, okay, I don't know why I just saw Dallas, Texas. So if this person is in Dallas, Texas, yeah, I'm getting that Texas vibe. Very bizarre. If you're from another country entirely, you're just like, what? So I don't know who this is for, right? And by the way, this is a US-based business. So if you're in another country, of which this is global, which is what's beautiful about it, the internet, Dallas, Texas applies to you too. If it resonates, it resonates. I know nothing about Dallas, Texas, other than the football team is called the Cowboys. So, I see an offer of love. I'm just going to give it to you. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying if you were my friend, that's what I tell you to do. But that's why I just deliver the message, because I don't know shit, your guides know something, and my guides are talking to your guides, so I have to get out of the way. Now, what's interesting is, look at this. So this is the personal outcome. So here's how your dude, see, I keep saying dude. Why do I think it's a man? I'm sure I'm forgiven at this point regarding the gender thing. So you go to give your person this personal, I almost see you showing up it's kind of, I see a surprise of some sort. So either a friend of theirs brings them to the airport under the auspices of, I don't know how you figure it out, but I have to go pick up a friend. Will you come with me? And then they go with you, and it's you arriving at the airport, or they show up at your job, or they show up at your apartment. It's a surprise, and it's a pleasant surprise. It's not unpleasant. They're not going to be like, oh my God, what are you doing here? It looks really, honestly, it just looks fabulous. It really does. What I also like, though, is this. Your outcome is this. Now, Queen of Swords gets an interesting rep. I personally identify, I am a water sign, but I identify very strongly with the Queen of Swords. I think she is a badass. So she's someone I look up to. But what she really is, beyond anything, is she is wise. She has the wisdom of air, water, earth, and we'll just say fire. That looks like lava. But she really encompasses, for me, this is my human filter slightly, or not, because I don't think I've ever talked about the Queen that way, but moving on. What the outcome for you is a sense of clarity. But it's clarity with a really, really solid, hold on guys, a really solid, a solid foundation. But it's something more than that. It's a solid, clear of the mind and grounded in the soul. Those are the words that just came to me. Clear in the mind and grounded in the soul. So and the reason I keep holding up these three is because here you are coming to this person, and so is that person. Or it could be this, you know? Maybe when you go home, you're like, wow, I love them. They love me. I think I'm going to move here. What craziness am I talking about? That could be it. But we don't know that. We don't know that. And I'm not about to say that's what's going to happen. But what I do see happening, potentially, right? I believe and have been taught that tarot is really lousy at telling us about the future, because the future it's utterly fluid, right? It doesn't even exist. All that exists is now. And that's the only thing we're certain of. But, yeah, so I like it. I think the whole thing to me, I guess what I want to say here about this reading in terms of like a sort of summary at 26 minutes. This was supposed to be like a 10-minute video. What I want to say is that I feel strongly that this was not an unhealthy relationship. You didn't part beautifully. It wasn't like no hard feelings, but it was fairly amicable. So this isn't you like begging for forgiveness. This is you like taking a chance, and he will be pleasantly, again with the he, will be pleasantly surprised. Guys and gals and persons, if your person's not a he, I've already made my apologies, right? Okay. All right, Taurus, that was a lot of reading. If you're even still watching at this point. All right, see you soon. Bye, much love.